Hello everyone, and welcome to a little demo video. Now I did one of these before, it's called How I Record and Edit My Videos, and I've been asked if I can do another one because I'm now using different software to what I did originally. So I am now using Streamlabs OBS, otherwise known as SLOBS, for recording. I'm not going to go into that in detail because SLOBS is basically the same as OBS like I used to use. What I will do though is I'll put up some pictures at the end of this video that just show my settings, or maybe I'll do it now. And with those settings you should pretty much get everything. With the mixing settings, you can change that to however you like. And you also need to bear in mind that if you're going to stream, you need to put the microphone and the desktop audio on the same channel. If you don't, it's going to cause you massive headaches. You're going to wonder why nobody can hear you talking, and it's because you've got the channel set up wrong. I have done that countless times. Now, this is DaVinci Resolve 16. I have not upgraded to the latest version. I think the latest version is 17.2, but I'm still on 16. I just haven't upgraded because I still like this one. I don't see any reason to at the moment, but I have used 17 on my laptop for other things, and it's basically the same. So when you open it, you get this. This is the project browser. Now, I've got loads of different ones: Flight Sim, FS19, RimWorld, other games. We're going to go into other games. And here we go. So you can ignore what's here. Obviously you can see this is my ETS2. We're going to create a new bin. That's the first thing. Oh, and if you don't get it brought up in this location, down the bottom, you've got different areas: media, cut, edit, fusion, color, fairlight, and deliver. To be honest, I don't know what all of these do, but I just use the media. So let's create a new bin. I'm going to call it demo vid. Now open that up. What I can do is I can create a new timeline. Again, I'm going to call it demo vid. Now you've got here your number of video and audio tracks. This doesn't really make a difference because what can happen if I put in 1 and 1, I know that my video files I've created have actually got 2 audio tracks, so they'll insert a second audio track anyway. But so I'm just going to leave it like this. And I click create. Something important to note actually, if we go to project settings, in here you can see we are in 1920 by 1080 and timeline frame rate is 60 frames per second and 60 for the playback. Now you have to set this when you create a new project. At the very start, when you create your new project, you have to set the timeline frame rate because you cannot undo it. At one point I did actually have in here FS19 60, FS19 30. It was a bit of a pain. So you have to set that at the start. So I've now got my empty track called demo vid. You can see it's got nothing in here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to import media. This is my OBS folder and I've got 3 files here. So just click open and there they are. Drag the first one in. And you have to give it a couple of seconds, depends on the length of the video. There we go. But that one is now in. So you can see this is just a recording of some FS19 gameplay. It's not my normal gameplay. This is just literally my random private game, and I've just recorded it. So we've got here the video track and the details about the video. We've got the audio track, which is desktop audio in this case, because I output desktop audio to channel 1. And then channel 2 is my speaking audio. Now, for the purposes of editing, you'll find it easiest to put this option here on. This is linked selection. Now if I click, it will always click all 3, which means when I do any operations like trimming or anything like that, it does it to all 3 at the same time. So, let's go straight in. You can see I've got this random bit here. So you can hear me singing. Now, maybe I want to just get rid of the singing. So the singing stops here. You can see from the sound, zoom in a little, the sound stops there, so the good place to trim it would be here. So we just grab the cut tool, hit cut, and it's now spliced it into 2 pieces. I can just, what is that? That is left click and highlight, or you can do it that way. You can either left click and just highlight everything, or go to the arrow cursor and click. And then here's 2 differences. If I hit backspace, it leaves a blank space. I'll just undo that. Control Z, undo, like in most software. If I hit delete, it trims it. It deletes it, and it doesn't leave any white space. So that's good. So you can hear I'm talking. I did a bit of random talking for no reason, and this is something good. So sometimes you have to pause. You get a phone call, you need the toilet, whatever. So what I can do with pausing is, in certain games this works better. FS19 this works really, really well because the desktop audio stops. So I can see, whoops, I can see a blank. There we go, and I can see the pause. So I want to trim it. I can use the left and right keys, not the numpad keys, the standard ones, to just go frame by frame. So I can find the first one with pause. Okay, I want the one before. I'm going to trim from here. Let me just zoom out. You see we've got the audio starting somewhere around here. So we just let it find the bit where we unpause. There we go. So pause, pause. That's the first one without pause. So I will hit there. So now this should look seamless. You could hear the click, but it does look pretty seamless. Fairly. That one wasn't a very good example. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you how I would make a time lapse. So let's start the time lapse here. So I'll put my trim in. That's where I want to trim. And we go all the way to the end of the time lapse. There we go. So the end of the time lapse will be just by here. Perfect. So again, highlight those. I can press backspace in this case because there's nothing on the side. Now, there is a bit of an oddity here. If I right click this and click change clip speed, I can change this up to 600%. Now, just before I do this, let me just show you. We were here. So we stop just by that. Let's change the clip speed to 600%. See, it shrinks, that's perfect. And we'll just drive up to the end. Now you see, I had already stopped before that point. What it does is, even though you trimmed, it brings back in what you trimmed. So I'm just going to edit that, undo that, sorry. Now, the way I found to do this is to make a compound clip. Now, depending on what you want in your compound clip, what you want in your time lapse, you have to do one of 2 things. So, I never have my own audio in there. So what you do is you unlink and you just delete. Always use backspace when you do that, never use the delete key. Now if you don't want the game audio either, again, backspace. And now you're just left with a video. Now the reason I say this is because if I make a compound clip here, oops, nope, not that. Fool. New compound clip. Okay, you can see first there's a compound clip has appeared up here. And we've now got just one audio track for the compound clip, which I did not want because now I've got my own audio, my speaking, and the game audio mixed together. So we'll undo that. Then I'll delete that. I'm going to keep the game audio in this case. So I make a new compound clip. Perfect. Now, you will have noticed that I changed views in here. There we go. So, I want to trim out, let's put that back on, the bit where I'm stopped and I'm messing around. So usually the way I do it is I get to the end of the field. There we go. And now I can just delete, and that now just looks like that. I've got another one down here somewhere. In fact, I have a pause which wasn't meant to be in here. This is one of these occasions where a pause happened and I didn't want it. So, a good bit of advice, really try not to pause during time-lapse, because it doesn't look as smooth. I pause a lot during videos, and you guys probably never even tell. Come on, there we go. So that's the last frame. But yes, during time lapses you can see a bit of a jump. So, okay, that's the next one. Okay, so that's the pause trimmed out. And then at some point, possibly here. Yes, here. Okay. So again, we just get to the end of the field. Click stop. Trim here. Now we keep going. There we go. So that's what I want. Trim that out again. So now we've got a compound clip. To be honest, it's actually better to do the trimming before you make the compound. So we'll make another compound clip of that. A little bit weird. There we go. So now, if I now change the clip speed, dash it up to 500. There we go. So you can now see this is now sped up, and all those things I trimmed have been kept. So the time lapse has kind of done it properly, if you know what I mean. So in a minute we'll get to the end of the field, and again it's trimmed. You didn't even notice the pause actually, which is really good in this case. And there. So that is the first clip done. So we've got that bit done. Now we drag in demo part 2. So this is now just a little bit more. And you can hear me talking in there. Maybe I don't want any of this. I don't want anything up until here. So what I can do, if you get to the edge of the clips, you can see this one has kind of got the little white bits around there. So that means we're going to change that one. Here, we're going to change both together. Now I'm only going to change that side. If I left click, sorry, I can now drag that directly up to there. Perfect. So that's now trimmed the end. So let's just listen to this. Now I don't know if you'll even be able to hear that, but that is me talking, but really, really quietly. So there are two ways of doing this. The way I found easiest is, if you ever need to adjust the volume at the very start of the clip, I tend to modify the entire sound. So we click on it once. You can do the same for this one, but you click on it once, and up here you've got volume. So I'm going to just jack that volume up to 10, and let's see if that solves it. And now I'm talking really quietly, and that means so maybe a little bit more. do we adjust the volume? So that's better now, that's perfect. However, in a minute it's going to get too loud, so prepare yourself. Now I'm talking normally, but the track is really loud, so it's difficult to hear me over the top of the sound of the track. Actually, you know what? That audio is fine. So what I'll do is I'll just demonstrate on this one. You notice the track to volume got very, very loud. So we just zoom in, find the point just before it starts, and you notice I've right-clicked on this. When you do this, always make sure you've clicked on the right file. You know, if you click on this one and then start doing the volumes, it will change that, not this, even if your cursor is here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a marker, or a point, can't remember what it's properly called, I'm going to put one there. So you can see we've now got a little red dot. I'm going to go 10 back. So we're currently on 2:24:07. I'm going to go back to 57. Wow. It does that sometimes, just jumps. Okay. Now I need to get to the other end, which would be here. So we put another one in, and I'm going to add 10. Okay, so I've now got 4 points. With those points, I can now do some trickery with the volume. So that one there is at 0. This one here I can set to -10. And you see, we've now got a dip. So I can use this to go through all of the points in the entire track. So here it's at 0, but actually it should be at -10, and then it goes back up to 0. So if we now check that, and now I'm talking normally, but the track is really loud. That's better, because the track is not so loud at all. This is something I have to do because certain tractors are really, really loud, especially that little Deutz I've got on Cantabria. That thing is crazy noisy. Now, transitions. This is something I haven't shown. So the way I tend to do my transitions is I find the point where I want to finish. So let's say it's just there. Okay. You can do this any way you want, but this is just the way I do it. So I take that number here. So that's 47. So I'll dial that back to 45, and I'll just check that it looks fine. I usually use my own spoken audio to work out where I can finish. So 45, then I add 15, so we're going to go up to 0. And I turn on the link, and I clip it. Now let's say I want to, for some reason, just bring it back here. So we'll get to 45 again. I always use 15s, don't ask me why, I just do. And we'll go to 0. Okay. We can actually... No. It's this bit, so we delete that. There we go. We are actually going to remove that as well. Now, if I come here to Effects Library, we've got a massive list of things. So you've got things like titles, subtitles. I think there's a standard text as well. I don't remember where it is. And then you've got all of these transitions. So I tend to use cross dissolve. So you drag that. It will only work on videos. So you can either put it at the end of a clip, the start of another if it's long enough, or across. The reason I do the 15 and the 15 on each side is because I find that gives enough time for the cross dissolve to work. So if we play through, wow, you didn't really see much, but there is a transition there. Probably a poor example. Now there is one slight oddity. What if I wanted to do a transition into the next clip? So let's just go back to the effects, drag that. I cannot put it across, I can only put it at the start. So there is an easy fix for this. So what we do is we just find the point where I want to start, which, there we go. So I clip it. Now, you can do this just one frame after the video has started, after the clip has started. But now, if I grab my cross dissolve, you see it will go across the video. However, that cross dissolve, for some reason, is just a little bit quick. So you can, of course, change the duration, things like that. Okay, so let's make that 0.2 as well. Okay. Perfect. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how to do the most basic functions. So once you've got your video, let's just imagine that I'm trimming it here. That's the end. Perfect. Got my video. I go to deliver. Now in deliver, you've got different things you can do. So I've got all my custom settings here. These custom settings are basically just because if you click YouTube 1080, it doesn't give you as much control. And if you go to custom, every single time you click custom, it resets it to QuickTime H.264, and I don't like that. I want 1080p, MP4, I've got my quality set up, I've got my encoding, I've got everything in here. So you give it a file name, demo vid, add it to the render queue, and you can click start render. And that is now creating the video. Something I found is that DaVinci Resolve is much quicker than any software I have used for editing. For the purposes of rendering, it is lightning fast compared to the previous tool I used, which I can't even remember what it was called now. But this is much, much quicker. So, thank you very, very much for watching, everyone, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.